Hi, my name is Lulu King, and this is my final exam. The work that I'm choosing to focus on for my final exam is The Yellow Wallpaper by Charlotte Perkins Gilman. Shortly after giving birth, a woman is isolated to a room with no company unless you count the disgusting yellow wallpaper that eventually leads to her actually going insane. This is a perfect work to focus on whenever discussing American literature, in my opinion, because it does show how one work of literature can kind of influence others and create a ripple effect and end up changing history. It's hard to imagine a life without social media nowadays, but I guess you could kind of view literature as the first form of social media, like the first Twitter. It sparked new ideas in people, it inspired revolutions, and also allowed for information about different cultures to be spread. People were allowed to share their ideas and convene with or read each other's ideas and discuss about it. With American literature, and cultural reflection and identity, dealing with those together, I think with American literature specifically, writers are allowed to write whatever they want, and we can read whatever we want. I think that that's a huge deal, and I don't think that we bring enough attention to that, because in a lot of countries and a lot of different cultures, you're not allowed to read and write whatever you want. So I think that's a huge privilege that we have, and kind of is why American literature is the way it is, if that makes sense. Like, through literature, we're allowed to see experiences from people of different races, genders, or economic classes. We're allowed to kind of read about their experiences. And as a reader, we can immerse ourselves into different time periods and different places, and we can learn about these important events through these American literature writers. Dealing with The Yellow Wallpaper specifically, through Charlotte Perkins Gilman, the writer, we're allowed to kind of not experience, but see sparks of ideas about the suffrage movement, with the women's suffrage movement. We kind of start to see those ideas and themes, and then talking about women's rights, the other women can discuss that too, and it kind of sparks, conversation about women's rights and how things should be. She's suffering from postpartum depression. That's what it's called. I couldn't think about it. And her husband and brother just dismiss her. Nobody believes her. They isolate her. And I think that her writing this down and talking about it creates a lot of awareness. The historical impact that American literature has, it gave the public knowledge and empathy about things like slavery, women's suffrage with The Yellow Wallpaper, and civil rights, and more. I think that without having American literature to record these things and kind of elaborate on it, people wouldn't have as much empathy towards it if we didn't have these personal experiences that we could read off of, or people might just not know as much. Without literature, we wouldn't be able to find as many of these things out. Again, with The Yellow Wallpaper, it does lean more towards the women's suffrage conversation, I guess you could say. Going on that, the social change and activism kind of is the same thing. It sparked encouraged discussion of women's rights. American literature has sparked many social, political, and cultural transformations. We saw throughout the semester literature dealing with the Harlem Renaissance. We saw civil rights movement. Some of these writers that we saw throughout the semester: W.E.B. Du Bois, Langston Hughes, Frederick Douglass, talking about slavery. This is a quote that I like from The Yellow Wallpaper. It says, "Personally, I believe with congenial work, with excitement and change, would do me good." Personally, I believe that congenial work. I think that this is important because she's kind of giving her input. I think that everyone is kind of wanting her to be isolated from everyone else, and then she's writing down, no, I disagree with them, and I'm going to say it how it is. I like how she's putting herself out there, and I think that other women reading this that might have felt the same way as her could be like, you know what, yeah, I can have a different opinion, and it's okay to feel this way, and, maybe help them find their voice. With empathy and human connection, I think that this is a big part with American literature. It offers the unique experience of transporting, or literature in general, it offers the unique experience of transporting different places, times, and different characters' lives. You're able to see that people who have different value, situation, home lines, anything, it's all different from what the reader might have experienced. I think that it creates a different connection. It allows you kind of to understand what life might be like in somebody else's shoes, or kind of seeing things through their eyes. And people can realize that they have similar ideas and beliefs with others through literature, or it could spark creativity in others that they wouldn't have come up with by themselves. Or maybe reading something could be like, oh, I do agree with that idea, or I haven't thought about it that way. Dealing with The Yellow Wallpaper, I think that other women it probably helped other women realize they aren't alone if they were experiencing similar situations. This quote, "John laughs at me, of course, but one expects that in a marriage." John, the narrator's husband, is dismissing her and kind of calling her crazy. Like, you're not depressed, you just need to be alone for a little bit, whatever. And whenever she's saying one expects that in a marriage, I think that other women probably felt like that, or other women's husbands probably made them feel like that, like they didn't matter, they were just laughing at them because they're crazy. I think that this probably created a connection between the two, like, oh, it's not me, and like someone else is going through this. Talking about the theme with literature, or American literature in specific, because America is such a young country, she's still changing who she wants to be, and the theme of freedom is consistently prevalent in our literature. The birth of America, separating from England and forming independence, was the theme early on, then freedom for slaves, and what freedom means for different races, class, and gender, to the freedom of expression. I think that this just shows, like, for American literature, we're allowed to express ourselves how we want, we're allowed to talk about our experiences, and since our freedom from England and forming our own independence, we can see all the different parts of history kind of unravel in literature, and we have all of these accounts and experiences written down, and we can go back and read them and kind of experience that. For my conclusion, we're always going to be able to learn and grow from literature. It's a great way to express ourselves and also have a better understanding of other people. I think that it brings people together, and we can express more empathy towards each other. Without important works like The Yellow Wallpaper, our society might not have been able to make the necessary changes that it did. I think that literature sparks a lot of important conversations that might not have happened without it. And obviously I'm happy for American literature, and I enjoyed this course. Thank you so much.